The dreadnought did not return to its distant, lonely watchpoint. Instead, it drifted closer to the conclave station, a silent, scarred guardian. The damage was clear on its hull blackened streaks from plasma, a dent where a piece of debris had hit. Inside, the crew moved with a quiet purpose, repairing what they could. The mood was not one of victory, but of grim satisfaction. They had done what they came to do. On the station, everything had changed. The elegant, musical chatter on the open channels was gone. In its place was a hushed, serious discussion. The words were now about defense, about security, about the human method. The fear had turned into something else. A deep, unsettled respect. Captain Min received a request. Not a command, not an invitation, but a request. Keeper Renail wished to come aboard the dreadnought, alone. Let him come, Min said. They met not in a beautiful room, but in the dreadnought's main briefing room. It was plain. Metal walls, a solid table, functional chairs. Rail entered, moving slowly. Its smooth head turned, taking in the starkness, the lack of art, the focus on pure function. It was the opposite of the conclave. Min stood waiting. He did not offer a soft chair. Renail did not seem to expect one. Your ship is wounded, Renail said, its dry voice softer than before. It will heal, Min replied. Did yours? Renail was silent for a moment. You do not ask for thanks. We did not do it for thanks. We did it because it was the only thing to do. That, Renail said, is what we did not understand. We thought your strength was for claiming, for taking. We did not see it could be for giving, for shielding. The alien seemed to struggle with the words. When the scavengers came before, to your Mars, we heard. Some of us argued to send a peace fleet, to mediate. The majority ruled it was not our concern, that your violence would only draw more violence. We called it practical harmony. Min said nothing. He just listened. We were wrong, Renail stated simply. Our harmony was not practical. It was fragile. It was a lie we told ourselves. We had peace because no one with teeth had found us in a long time. You did not bring teeth to bite us. You brought teeth to bite the wolf at our door. We mistook the tool for the intent. Min walked to a small viewport, looking out at the repaired, gleaming station. My historian, Myra, said your peace was real, but it was built in a sheltered garden. We are not gardeners, Keeper. We are foresters. We know the dark still exists beyond the fence. And you would be our fence? Renail asked. There was no mockery in the question. No, Min said, turning back. We would be the ones who remind you how to build one, and help you guard it. A new understanding passed between them, not of friendship, but of recognition. They were two utterly different species, seeing the same truth from opposite sides. Days passed. Repair tenders from the Accord, small and delicate, came to work alongside the human engineers. At first, the aliens were nervous around the battered human warship and its crew. But as they worked, they talked. The humans showed them how their armor was layered, not for beauty, but to absorb and spread out impact. The aliens, in turn, showed the humans their energy distribution systems, which were far more efficient than anything on Earth. They began to exchange knowledge, not just art. A formal council was convened. Captain Min, Yuna, and Mira went to represent Earth. The room was full of many species, but the atmosphere was different. The air of gentle superiority was gone. They were being looked at as equals. Strange, hard equals, but equals. Orville, the chime-voiced alien, spoke first. The harmonious accord offers humanity full membership, with all the rights and privileges of a founding species. Min stood. We accept. But with one condition. A ripple went through the assembly. Conditions were not part of their rituals. We proposed the creation of a new branch, Min continued. A Guardian Corps, a unified defensive fleet made from volunteers of any species. Its purpose will not be to attack or to project power. Its only purpose will be to do what we did, to stand between the garden and the dark, to answer the calls that you once ignored. The debate was long. Some old factions resisted, calling it a return to the ways of fear. But new voices were louder now. The Velt scientists spoke powerfully about practical peace. And Keeper and Nail spoke last. For ages, Renail said, we believed strength was the opposite of peace. The humans have shown us they can be the same thing. A shield is a tool of strength. It is also a tool of peace. I support the human condition. The vote passed. Back on the Dreadnought, a final message came from Earth Command. Yuna brought it to Min on the bridge. It was short, to Captain Min and crew of the Dreadnought. Your mission is complete. You have opened a door we thought was closed. Diplomatic and cultural delegations will arrive within the month. Well done. Min read it and smiled, a real tired smile. He looked around at his bridge crew, at Hana, at Jay, at Yuna. They had done it. He opened a shipwide channel for the last time. This is the captain. The word from Earth is simple. Well done, but I will add to it. You were not sent here to be loved. You were sent here to be understood. You were sent here to be the hard truth they needed to see. And you succeeded. The diplomats are coming now. The artists and the poets. He paused, a flicker of humor in his eyes. Our job was to make sure they would be safe when they got here. We can go home knowing we did. Prepare for departure. Set course for Earth. As the Dreadnought powered up its engines to leave, a new signal arrived. It was a visual feed from the Conclave's main dock. There, surrounded by the beautiful, delicate ships of the Accord, a new structure was being built. The framework was heavy, solid, and angular. It was not elegant. It looked, unmistakably, like the beginning of a ship with strong hulls and room for big guns. Beside the feed was a single line of text from Keeper Renail, the first lesson. Thank you for the blueprint. Min leaned back in his chair as Hana guided the ship away from the nebula, turning its scarred nose toward home. The stars ahead were bright and clear. Tell Earth, he said softly, to no one in particular, the diplomats can come now. We've cleared the way. The Dreadnought's engines thrummed to life, a deep vibration that felt like the growl of a waking beast. On the bridge, Hana's hands were steady on the controls. The view ahead was chaos. The elegant Accord ships moved in slow, confused patterns, trying to shield the station with their own bodies. The scavenger fleet, a swarm of sharp, ugly metal, fired again. Another silver ship came apart in a silent bloom of fire and debris. Tay, give me full power to forward shields and point defense, Hana said, her voice tight. We're going right through the middle. Shields at maximum. Tay's voice came back from engineering. Point defense is hot. The armor will hold, but don't make a habit of this. The Dreadnought moved. It did not glide. It charged. It was a massive, blunt object pushing through a cloud of delicate insects. Hana flew not with grace, but with purpose. A scavenger ship, smaller and faster, veered to cut them off, firing a stream of green plasma. Hold course, Hana muttered. The plasma bolts splashed against their forward shields, which flared a brilliant, solid blue. The Dreadnought didn't waver. It plowed into the smaller ship. There was no dramatic explosion. The scavenger vessel simply shattered against the human ship's armored hull, scattering into 1,000 pieces. On the Conclave station, millions of aliens watched. The sight of the Dreadnought's brutal, direct movement was a shock. This was not fighting as a ritual. This was fighting as physics. Captain Min, Yuna, and Jay burst onto the bridge, their faces flushed from the run. Min dropped into his command chair. "Report. 18 hostiles, maybe more hiding in the nebula dust," Hana said. "They're ignoring us now, focusing fire on the station's main docking ring. Their weapons are heavy, but slow. Our shields can take the hits. Theirs can't." Min looked at the screen. The scavengers were like wolves going for the throat, ignoring the newcomer. They thought the dreadnought was just another slow, soft target. "Jay," Min said. "Change their minds." Jay Lee's fingers danced over his tactical console. His face was a mask of cold focus. Switching to targeted fire. Disabling shots only. Going for engine clusters and weapon mounts. The dreadnought's main cannons, hidden behind massive armored doors, slid open. They glowed with a white-hot light. They fired. The sound was not a loud bang. It was a deep, heavy thump that vibrated through the entire ship. 2 brilliant lances of energy streaked across the void. They did not aim for the scavenger ship's center. One struck the patchwork engines at the rear. The other sliced through the cluster of gun barrels on its side. The scavenger ship didn't explode. It went dark. Its engines died. Its weapons fell silent. It began to drift, a dead piece of metal. On the bridge, there was no cheer. Only the hum of systems and Jay's quiet voice. Target disabled. Moving to next. This got the scavengers' attention. 3 of the jagged ships broke off from the station and turned toward the dreadnought. They fired together, a storm of green plasma. "Evasive pattern Delta," Hana said, more to herself than anyone. She pushed the controls. The dreadnought, for all its size, rolled to the side. It was not a quick darting move. It was a slow, heavy banking turn, like a bull avoiding a spear. Most of the plasma missed. The shots that hit flared harmlessly against the shields. Jay fired again. Thump, thump, another. Ship's engines went dark. Another ship's weapons were sheared off. "They're trying to swarm us." Yuna called out, watching the tactical display. A group of 5 smaller scavenger ships, like angry hornets, were speeding in from the flanks. "Tay, ready the missile pods," Min ordered. "But load marker rounds. I want them lit up, not blown apart." "Marker rounds, aye," Tay confirmed out from the sides of the dreadnought. A dozen pods opened. Small, fast missiles shot out. They didn't carry explosive warheads. When they hit the scavenger ships, they burst not into fire, but into a clinging, brilliant orange glow that covered the hulls. The ships were now shining like beacons. "The Accord defense ships are just watching," Yuna said, frustration in her voice. "Let them watch," Min said. "Hana, bring us about. Head for the big one." In the center of the scavenger formation was a larger ship, a command vessel pieced together from the hulls of other ships. It was now firing its main gun, a massive cannon that glowed with stolen energy at the Conclave station's shield. The station's shield shimmered, straining under each blow. Hana pushed the engines. The dreadnought accelerated, moving between the command ship and the station. The next blast from the scavenger's big gun hit the dreadnought's shield square on. The bridge lights flickered. A low alarm sounded. Forward shield at 60%. Tay called. "Hold position," Min said. The scavenger command ship, seeing its path blocked, fired everything it had. Green plasma and chunks of molten metal hammered the dreadnought's shields. The human ship held its ground, taking the punishment the station was never built to withstand. "Jay," Min said. "A surgical cut. Take that main gun offline." Jay took a deep breath. He adjusted his aim, ignoring the smaller weapons peppering their shields. He waited for the dreadnought's heavy cannons to recharge. He fired a single shot. The white beam lanced out. It hit the scavenger ship's main cannon at its base. There was a small, contained explosion. The big gun went dark, twisted and useless dot at that moment. Something changed. The Accord defense ships, which had been hovering, finally moved. Not to attack, but to surround the scavenger ships Jay had disabled and the ones glowing with marker rounds. They used gentle tractor beams to hold them, like capturing dangerous animals in nets. The fight was over. The remaining scavenger ships, seeing their command vessel crippled and their allies captured, turned and fled back into the nebula, disappearing into the dust. Silence settled on the bridge. The view was a mess of drifting, disabled scavenger ships, glittering debris, and the shocked, silent forms of the Accord fleet. The dreadnought sat in the middle of it all, its armor scarred and blackened from plasma burns, its shield still glowing faintly. It was wounded, but it stood. Captain Min let out a slow breath. Damage report. Tay's voice was tired but proud. Forward shields are compromised. Armor took a beating, but hull integrity is solid. One missile pod is jammed. No major system failures. We're bruised, sir, but we're fine. On the main screen, a new image appeared. It was Keeper Rennail, back in the conference room. The alien's stone-like face was different. The calm was gone. In its place was something new, something raw. It looked at Captain Min, and then its gaze seemed to take in the whole bridge, the human crew. Captain Min, Rennail said, its dry voice now hushed. The conclave is intact. Because of you. Min looked at the alien, then at the faces of his crew. Hannah, breathing heavily from the tension of the fight. Jay, his knuckles white where he had gripped his console. Yuna, her eyes wide with the aftermath of adrenaline. The garden is safe. Keeper, Min said, his voice quiet but clear in the silent bridge. For now. The meeting room on the conclave station was like nothing the humans had ever seen. There were no walls, only a curved, clear energy field that showed a perfect, dizzying view of space and the nebula beyond. The floor felt soft, like moss, and the air smelled of clean rain and something sweet. In the center, a round platform hovered just above the floor. 5 aliens waited there. Ambassador Juan was among them, his tall form looking tense. The others were different species, some with multiple arms, others with skin that seemed to shift color like a calm ocean. Captain Min, Yuna, Jay, and Mira walked onto the platform. They wore simple, dark uniforms. They stood straight, their hands at their sides. They did not sit in the soft, flowing chairs that seemed to grow from the floor around the aliens. They remained standing. Welcome, said a being who introduced itself as Orville, its voice a chorus of soft chimes. We hope this space brings clarity to our dialogue. Thank you, Min said, his voice neutral. We are ready to listen. The dialogue began. The alien spoke of harmony, of the great silence, the time thousands of years ago when their last conflicts ended. They spoke of a galactic civilization built on shared understanding, where force was an obsolete concept, a relic of a childish age. They showed beautiful holograms of joint art projects spanning stars, of planets turned into gardens, of knowledge freely flowing. Your vessel, Ambassador Juan finally said, his dark eyes fixed on Min. It is a symbol of that childish age. It speaks a language we have forgotten. Why do you insist on using it? Do you not see the beauty of what we offer? A place in our peace? Min glanced at Mira. She gave a small nod and stepped forward. We see the beauty, Mira said. Her voice was clear in the quiet room. It is very beautiful. But beauty is not strength. And peace without strength is a temporary condition. She tapped a small device on her wrist dot in the center of the platform. The beautiful alien holograms vanished. They were replaced by the grainy, harsh images from Mira's archive. The burning domes of Mars, the jagged, ugly scavenger ships, The terrified faces of colonists caught in the light of plasma fires. The aliens reacted physically. One made a low, distressed hum. Another turned its head away, as if the images were a bright, painful light. "What is this?" Orville asked, its chime-like voice wavering. "This is a lesson we learned 30 years ago," Mira said. The images kept playing, silent and terrible. "We called it the Mars Blight. We called for help. We broadcast our distress on every frequency we knew. We received no answer. Your great silence was the only thing that answered us." Ambassador Juan's gentle face was troubled. A tragic, local event. The chaos of a young species finding its place. The Accord does not intervene in such internal, growing pains. Jay Lee's jaw tightened. He spoke before he could stop himself. Growing pains? They were murdering children to rip the reactors from their school's power grid. That's not growing pains. That's a predator. "You speak of predators," said a new alien, one who had been silent. Its skin was a deep gray, and it had no visible eyes, only a smooth ridge where they might be. Its voice was dry, like stones rubbing together. "The galaxy has moved beyond such concepts. You bring the predator's mind with you. You see fangs where there are only open hands." "We see what is there," Captain Men said, his tone final. "You speak of stability. We ask, stability for whom? For those safe inside the garden? What about those outside its walls? Or are they simply not part of your harmony?" The gray alien, who named itself Keeper Renail, went very still. The room seemed to grow colder. The harmonious accord is for all civilized species who accept its tenets, Renail said. "And who decides what is civilized?" Una asked softly. "Is it civilized to hear a cry for help and call it a local event? Is it civilized to be so safe that you forget others are not?" A heavy silence fell. The aliens communicated without words, subtle shifts in color, slight hums. They were clearly unsettled, not just by the images, but by the questions. It was Keeper Renail who broke the silence. "Your pain is understood. Your caution is noted. But your method is a toxin. Your single ship of war introduces fear into a system free of it. It is a spark near old, dry wood. There are elements within our own history, factions who believe as you do. That strength must be maintained. Your display empowers them. It threatens the balance we have spent ages building." Min's eyes narrowed. This was the first real hint of truth. "So your peace is not a natural state. It is a choice. A choice to ignore threats. A choice to call those who prepare for them uncivilized. And you are afraid that our spark will remind your own people that the dark still exists." Before Renail could answer, the entire station shuddered. A low, thrumming alarm pulsed through the soft air, not loud, but urgent. It was a sound of deep wrongness. On the view wall, the beautiful nebula was blotted out. One by one, sharp, angular shadows slid into view. They were ships, but not like the dreadnought. These were asymmetrical, pieced together from scrap metal and stolen technology. They moved with a hungry, jerking speed. They were instantly recognizable to every human on the platform. Scavengers. Jay breathed, his hand going to the sidearm he wasn't carrying. The alien platform erupted in soft, panicked chimes and hums. Juan was staring, his large eyes wide with a horror that was not philosophical, but immediate and physical. The unspoken. Orville cried, its voice breaking. "They have found us. They have never come so close to the core." On the view wall, they could see the Accord's response. Delicate silvery ships, like floating leaves, moved to form a line between the station and the scavenger fleet. Their weapon ports glowed a soft, harmless blue. "They are hailing," Una said, her comms training kicking in even here. The scavengers are broadcasting a single word on repeat. A harsh, grating noise filled the room, a word from a language of barks and snarls. It needed no translation. It meant, mine. Then the scavenger fleet opened fire. Their weapons were crude, bolts of angry green plasma. But they were powerful. The first bolt struck the lead Accord defense ship. The beautiful silver vessel didn't explode. It simply came apart, its pieces scattering silently. Glowing as they melted, the garden, for the first time in 1,000 years, was burning. Keeper Raynale turned its smooth face toward Captain Min. All its stone-like composure was gone. In its voice was something the humans had not heard from any alien yet. Raw, desperate fear. "Your ship," Raynale said, the words tumbling out. "The Dreadnought. Can it fight?" On the bridge of the Dreadnought, Hana and Tay watched the same scene on their screens. The tactical display was flashing red with hostile signals. The Accord's defense was crumbling without landing a single hit. "Captain's channel is open from the station," Hana said, her fingers already flying over the helm controls. Powering up the main engines. Min's voice came through, clear and calm, filled with an authority that cut through the alien alarm. "All hands, battle stations. This is not a drill. Hana, bring us to defensive position Alpha, between that fleet and the Conclave. Jay, you are with me. We're returning now. Do not wait for us. Engage at your discretion." He looked away from the terrified aliens, toward his team. Yuna, Jay, Myra. They all nodded, their faces set. "It can fight," Min said to Keeper Raynale, answering the earlier question. He was already moving toward the exit, his team falling in behind him. "But we are not fighting for you. We are fighting for the idea that a cry for help should never be answered with silence." They left the aliens standing amid their beautiful burning garden and ran for their ship of war. The Dreadnought hung in space, a silent, dark mountain among the graceful spires of the Conclave station. Inside, the crew went about their duties, but a quiet tension filled the air. They were being watched by 1,000 alien eyes, and they could feel it. Captain Min had ordered a regular routine. It was important to seem calm, to seem in control. But in the mess hall, during the off shift, the talk always turned to the same thing. "Why do they look at us like we're monsters?" asked a young mechanic, pushing food around his plate. "We haven't done anything." Jay Lee from Tactical sat down with his coffee. He had been on the bridge for 10 hours, watching the alien defense grid do nothing. "They look at us like a weapon," he said, "because that's what we are to them. They've forgotten what weapons are for. They think they're just for hurting." In a quiet room near the ship's archives, Mira was working. She was not a soldier. She was a historian. Her job was to understand, to find context. Right now, she was reviewing data from the ship's observation of the Conclave. The aliens shared art, music, complex mathematical poetry. It was beautiful. And to Myra, who knew human history, it also seemed very, very fragile. The door opened and Tae Kong, the chief engineer, walked in. He looked tired. He had been running checks on the armor plating for the 3rd time. "Anything useful in all this, Mira?" he asked, nodding at her screens full of alien symbols. "Maybe," she said. "They have no recent history of conflict. Not for centuries. Their technology evolved for comfort, for beauty, for long life. Not for survival against a threat." Tay grunted. "Lucky them." "Perhaps," Mara said. She tapped a key, and her screen changed. Now it showed a different scene. Not beautiful art, but burned metal and crying in the dark. But we were not so lucky. The screen showed the Mars colony 30 years ago. The footage was rough, taken from a security camera. It showed a night sky suddenly filled with strange, jagged ships. They did not hail the colony. They did not ask for surrender. They opened fire. They bombed the habitat domes from orbit. Then they landed, and creatures in crude armor came out. They did not take prisoners. They took whatever they could grab: machinery, raw metals, fusion cores, and they killed anyone who got in their way. Kang's face went hard. He had seen this before. Every human on the ship had. It was part of their basic training. The scavenger raid, Myra said quietly. We lost over 4,000 people in 6 hours. Our defense fleet was small, built for stopping asteroids and chasing smugglers. It took everything we had to drive them off. We begged for help. We sent signals in every direction. And no one came, Tay finished, his voice flat. No one answered, Mira corrected. The galaxy was silent. The harmonious accord, if they heard our calls, chose to do nothing. They likely saw it as a minor disturbance on the edge of civilized space. A problem for a younger, more aggressive species to handle ourselves. On the bridge, Yuna was listening to the conclave channels again. The initial fear was fading, replaced by a kind of cold disapproval. The aliens were now discussing humanity as a philosophical problem. A species that leads with violence is a danger to the fabric of the accord, one voice said, sounding wise and sad. But their ship is alone, argued another, the Velt scientist from before. It is a statement. Perhaps it is a statement of fear, not aggression. Captain Min listened to Yuna's summaries. He stared at the image of the conclave, so bright and full of light. He remembered the dark, cold screens in the Defense Command on Earth, the day the Mars reports came in. The silence of space had never felt so heavy or so cruel. Prepare a ship-wide broadcast, Yuna, Min said suddenly. A few minutes later, Min's voice came from every speaker on the dreadnought. He spoke calmly. This is the captain. I know you are all watching the aliens. I know you hear their confusion. Some of you may be feeling it too. You may wonder why we are here like this, why we couldn't have sent a ship of poets instead. He paused. On the engineering deck, Tay stopped his work to listen. In the archive room, Myra turned away from her screens. We are not here because we hate peace, Min's voice continued. We are here because we know its price. 30 years ago, the peace of our home was broken. We called into the darkness for help, and the darkness did not answer. We learned then that peace is not a gift the galaxy gives you. It is something you must be able to guard, to hold. The ship you are on, the dreadnought, is not a threat to those who mean no harm. It is a promise that we will never be silent in the dark again. We are not here to show them our art. We are here to show them our teeth, so they understand the value of the hand we might one day offer. Carry on. The broadcast ended. The crew returned to their work, but their backs were a little straighter. The confusion was gone from their faces. Later, Mira went to the bridge. She stood beside Min's chair, looking at the same view. Their harmony is real, Captain, she said softly. But it is a harmony built in a sheltered garden. They have removed all the wolves. They have forgotten that wolves exist. Min nodded slowly. And when a wolf finds their garden, then they will die beautifully, Mira said. Or they will learn, very quickly, how to build a fence. Our presence here is that fence. We are showing them the rough timber and the sharp wire. They find it ugly. It is ugly, Min agreed. But the view from behind it is peaceful. A new, official message arrived. It was from Ambassador Juan again. He requested a formal dialogue in one rotation. A small human team was invited to join a meeting in a neutral conference room on the conclave station. They are ready to talk, Yuna said, or ready to tell us to leave. Jay muttered from his station. Min considered it. Reply, we accept. I will lead the team. Yuna J., you will come with me. And Myra looked surprised. Captain, I am not a diplomat. No, Min said. You are our memory. You are our why. When they ask their questions about art and philosophy, you will give them the true answer. You will show them the cost of a peace that is not defended. As the team prepared, a final secret message found its way into the ship's system. It was better hidden than the others. Tai Kang had to use serious effort to dig it out. It contained no text, just a single strange image, a symbol of the harmonious accord, but with a sharp black crack drawn right through its center. Min looked at the image for a long time. He did not delete it. So, he said quietly to himself, the garden has cracks in its walls already. He turned to his team. Be ready for anything. We are not walking into a conversation. We are walking into the first real test. The vastness of space near the Orion Conclave was usually a calm, orderly place. Ships from a dozen species glided silently, their shapes elegant and smooth, following ancient traffic patterns. The light from the nebula painted everything in soft blues and purples. It was a place of quiet talk and older wisdom. Today, that quiet was about to break. On the bridge of the Earthship Dreadnought, Captain Min Park watched the main screen. His face was calm, but his eyes were sharp, missing nothing. Around him, his crew worked quietly. They were all focused on their tasks. Final approach to the designated coordinates, Captain, said Hana, the helmsman. Her hands moved surely over her controls. Hold us here, Hana, Min said. Just outside their standard welcome zone. Let them see us clearly. The Dreadnought was not like the other ships. It was not smooth or elegant. It was all hard angles and gray metal. Great slabs of armor covered its sides. Along its length, the dark circles of weapon ports and missile bays were clearly visible, though they were closed and silent. It did not look like a ship built for talking. It looked like a ship built for a single, simple-purpose dot at her communication station. Yuna Kim listened to the open channels. The air was full of polite, musical alien languages. They were talking about philosophy, art, and the newest member to be invited to their peaceful group, humanity. The word was said with a kind of happy curiosity. They are expecting our delegation ship, the handshake, Yuna reported, her voice steady. They have a docking bay prepared with ceremonial guards. They are talking about poetry exchanges and cultural displays. Min allowed himself a small, thin smile. I am sure they are. The invitation from the Harmonious Accord had arrived 6 months ago. It was a beautiful message, full of hope. It spoke of a galactic community that had left war behind thousands of years ago. They welcomed humanity to join this great and peaceful union. Earth's leaders had debated for a long time. Finally, they had made a choice. They sent their answer. But it was not the answer the Accord expected. Captain, Yuna said, her tone changing. We are being hailed directly. It is from the Lead Conclave Station. The signal identifies the caller as Ambassador Juan. Put it on screen, Yuna. The main viewer changed. The beautiful starfield was replaced by the image of an alien. Ambassador Juan looked like a tall, slender plant. His skin had a greenish tone, and his large, dark eyes were gentle. He stood in a room that seemed to be made of living crystal. Behind him, other aliens of different shapes moved about softly. Unidentified human vessel. Juan began, his voice a soft, flowing sound. This is the Harmonious Accord Conclave of Orion. You have entered a space of peace and dialogue. Your ship's signature does not match the one provided for your diplomatic delegation. Please identify yourself and your purpose. Min stood up. He straightened his simple, dark uniform. Ambassador Juan, I am Captain Min Park of the Earth United Defense Vessel, Dreadnought. We are here in response to your invitation. There was a long silence on the channel. Juan's large eyes blinked slowly. He looked off-screen, as if consulting someone. When he looked back, his expression was confused. Captain Park, we are delighted to welcome humanity. However, there seems to be a mistake. Our invitation was for cultural ambassadors, for thinkers and artists. The first meeting is a ceremony of soft voices, not a warship. He said the last word as if it was a bad taste in his mouth. Where is your delegation ship? This is our delegation, Ambassador, Min said, his voice calm and firm. Earth acknowledges your invitation. We send our answer. The silence this time was deeper. On the bridge of the Dreadnought, the only sound was the low hum of the ship's systems. On the screen, Juan's gentle face showed first confusion and a growing horror. Behind him, other aliens had stopped moving. They were staring at their own screens, presumably seeing the Dreadnought for the first time. A warship? Juan finally whispered. You bring a weapon to a gathering of open hands? This is not our way. This breaks every protocol of civilized contact. Your way is not our only way, Ambassador, Min replied. He did not raise his voice. We are here. We will hold our position. We mean no immediate threat. You may observe us, as we will observe you. He gave a slight nod to Yuna, who closed the channel. The screen returned to the view of the beautiful conclave station and the delicate ships around it. And in the middle of it all, the dark, blocky shape of the Dreadnought sat, UNMOVING, dot on the conclave station. Panic was a quiet, cold thing. There were no shouts. But the musical language on the channels Yuna monitored became faster, sharper. She listened, translating bits for the bridge crew. They are calling us the silent threat, she said. One says, look at its shape. It is built only to break things. Another is asking if this means humanity is a species of violence. They are debating whether to raise their energy shields, but they are worried it will look like an attack. Jay Lee, the tactical officer, looked up from his screens. Their defensive grid is powering up, but slowly. It's a light show, Captain. Meant to look pretty. I doubt it could stop a strong solar wind. He sounded almost disappointed. Let them power up, Min said, sitting back in his command chair. Let them do whatever makes them feel safe. Our job is to be seen. Hours passed. The Dreadnought did not move. It did not open its weapons ports. It did not send another message. It simply existed. It was a strange hard stone thrown into the calm pond of the conclave. Private messages began to arrive. Not through official channels, but through hidden paths decoded by Tae Kang in the engineering room. They were not from the Accord leaders. One message was simple. Your directness is interesting. Another said, not all here believe the old stories of perfect peace. Min read them and deleted them. Do not reply, he ordered. We are not here to play their hidden games. We are here to be a fact. Yuna continued to listen. The fear on the channels was slowly mixing with something else, curiosity. A few of the younger species, ones who had joined the Accord more recently, were asking questions. One of them, a scientist from a species called the Velt, is saying our reactor signature is incredibly advanced, Yuna reported. They are arguing. Some say it is dangerous. The Velt scientist says it is magnificent engineering. As the first day cycle of the conclave ended, a new official message arrived. It was from a being called the Keeper of Thresholds, a higher authority than one. The being did not appear on screen. Only a symbol, a single circle, was shown. Human vessel Dreadnought, a deep, neutral voice said. Your presence is a disturbance. Yet you have broken no law. You claim to be an answer. We do not understand the question. You will remain where you are. A dialogue will be arranged. Prepare to explain yourselves." The message ended. Min looked around at his bridge crew. Hannah, Jay, Yuna. They all looked back, their faces serious. "They don't understand," Min said softly, more to himself than to them. "They think the question was, 'Will you join our peace?' That was not our question." He turned his chair to face the great view of space, where the delicate ships of the Accord still floated, keeping a wide, nervous distance from his warship. "Our question," he whispered to the stars, was, "Is your peace real? And until we know the answer to that, this is where we will be." The dreadnought hung in the silence, a single solid note of doubt in the galaxy's song of harmony.